this is my review of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Okay, so this episode starts off the season 2 proper, and it starts off with Rimuru trying to form a delegation for the Beast continent of Eurazania. So yeah, it's never explained how that. I don't remember if it was explained how that happened, but basically, he forms it. But basically, I'll get to that. Get into it in a minute. But basically, he tries to form a delegation with the continent of Eurazania, and he's trying to form a delegation with them so that they will actually, maybe be allies for him in the future, but I'll get to that in a minute. So it starts off with Rimuru talking to his class about how he's going to be leaving them at the end of the term, which is what they expected, and how even though he's going to be leaving them and all, he's still going to do his best to be their teacher, and sure enough is going to help them prepare for finals in that time. At which point Tis shows up to take over, and it's implied that the OVAs the three-parter that I reviewed are apparently canon, which is interesting. But basically he leaves the class in Tis's hands while he goes to work on the whole delegation thing that I talked to you guys about for a brief minute. And after leaving the class in Tis's capable hands, he returns to Tempest using a spell that he apparently picked up at some point when he analyzed the wind spirits during that little arc. But basically as he returns to Tempest, he begins to remember all the things that he's done in the past since he's reincarnated and all that. And basically he's just happy that all of it is behind him, and that it's now that everybody's in an era of peace, and he hopes that peace will last. But in any case, he proceeds to go back to his house to prepare for the delegation, and he has Shuna and Shion bring him several outfits to dress up in for the delegation, since the delegation is going to be led up by Shuna's brother Benimaru and the chief's son Rigger. So basically they're going to be sending Benimaru as insurance to make sure that if things don't go well, he'll be able to defend him, and they'll be able to retreat and go get help. It's not expected that anything is going to go wrong, but just on the safe side, Benimaru is going anyway to basically be an armed escort for the rest of the delegation. In any case, Shuna and Shion bring a bunch of outfits for him to dress him up in, so he can basically look as sharp as going into addressing the delegation before sending them on their merry way to Eurazania. And what happens is that they just winds up she just kind of dresses up in a whole bunch of different outfits, which is mainly just an excuse for Shion and Shuna to play dress up with Rimuru again, because that was a thing they did. And eventually he kind of gets sick of all the different outfits that they asks them to pick something a bit more elegant, but also formal. And they eventually just pick an outfit on him, which mainly consists of a large cape that covers most of the outfit. At which point he goes in the center of town, which is where the delegation and all of the citizens of Tempest have gathered, and he begins to address the delegation, stating that they're wishing them the best of luck. But Shuna's prodding, he decides that it's a bit too short and decides to add some more. So he tells them so he basically just reiterates the plan to them, that they're to go to the delegation. They're going to try and form a peace with the Demon Lord Carrion, who leads Eurazania, and their idea is that they're supposed to head out and just go there and be as peaceful as possible, be as peaceful and as formal as possible. And on the off chance Carrion goes full megalomaniac and goes powers everything, they're to defend themselves as best they can and just come back to Tempest to get reinforcements. And basically the point of the delegation is see as to whether or not the two of them will make useful allies. So basically it's just to see if the two countries are compatible or not, and if not, then they're just going to cut off all ties. At which point the delegation leaves. and at which point Rimuru gets to work preparing for their arrival, since you can't just send the delegation off and then just wait a week for them to for their delegation to show up. He has to prepare. He has to be prepared. So they make sure that Tempest is in its tip-top shape. He has Shuna teaching all of the different races all how to cook and prepare for catering and all that. And then they also have Vesta teaching them proper etiquette as well, so that they're on their best behavior. Since if they have a royal on staff, they might as well have him do that. And they're also having Hataro cheering up the royal guards and all that, so that if a fight does break out, they're well prepared for that. But in any case, they prepare for that for several days. And in that time, as he's preparing for the meeting with the delegation, as well as with a meeting with Gazelle Dwargo, which he has to go to explain the whole Sharpness situation to him, while also thanking him formally for forming an alliance with him. Trainee shows up and informs him that Yuan and his party have showed up and are planning to meet with him, and that the delegation has also entered the forest. And Yuan, if you guys don't remember, is the guy that Rimuru made up a fabricated origin story about how he defeated the Orc Lord, and is basically just masquerading around pretending to be the champion that defeated him, while also spreading positive rumors about the Jura Tempest Foundation, so that people will know that, hey, there's a nation of good monsters. You'll be fine. And sure enough, he then meets with them briefly in the bathhouse once they arrive, and he explains the situation to them, and they're understandably a little bit shocked. And since they didn't really know how that actually happened, that Rimuru is somehow meeting with another demon lord and trying to form an alliance with him, but they also point out that they should really try to avoid fighting if they can, and picking a fight with the delegation. So basically, Yuan and his group are supposed to be on their best behavior and not attack anybody. So that's basically what happens. But in case the delegation arrives, and Rimuru can't help but be impressed by their delegation cards, because not only are they really fancy cards, but they're also being pulled by tigers that are covered in lightning. So yeah, Rimuru can't help but be impressed, but Shion remarks that they wouldn't hold up very well in battle, which Rimuru dismisses her for, telling her that's not the point. But in case, after the delegation arrives, the first member of the delegation gets out, Aldous, who's formerly happy to have met with Rimuru and his crew, and looks forward to going into a bit of a agreement with them. But then her counterpart Sufria comes out and begins talking smack about everybody there. Basically, Sufria's first instinct is to get out of the cart and immediately start trash talking Rimuru and his followers. And she points out that not only is the leader a weak slime because she doesn't know any better, but that she also has a very bigoted view of humans, which upsets Rimuru just a little bit. So he's not too happy about that either. And they're she's quickly starting to piss a lot of people off. At which point Rimuru decides that now is probably a perfect time to go back on their word and actually start a fight to prove how strong they are to Sufria, so that she shuts the hell up. And tells Yuan to do it, mainly because he should be taking personal offense to the fact that he's being called out by Sufria. And as the two gear up to battle, and Yuan is more than happy to do it, Shion actually intervenes, putting Rimuru down, giving him to Shuna, and then sticking her sword into the dirt, pointing out that while she could handle everybody else being insulted, she will not take an insult to Rimuru personally without fight, and then proceeds to battle Sufria, much to Sufria's enjoyment. And also because they realize that they don't have Yuan just kind of geared up for a fight and didn't have anybody. Aldous sends the other person that came with him, Gurdon, they send him into fight as well, and he's a Majin. I'm not entirely sure what that means, since this is the first time we've seen a Majin in this story, but all I should know of note is that everybody is impressed that Yuan is able to actually hold his own against a Majin, because Majins are pretty skilled and pretty tough, and also apparently are more powerful than humans. So the fact that Yuan, a human, is holding his own against the Majin is enough to be impressed. But in any case, with that, not even the first episode of the second season, and already Rimuru has instigated a fight between another nation that they're trying to make into their ally. So yeah, that's basically what this episode is. It's Rimuru preparing for a delegation from a bunch of people from Eurasia. They show up. One of them insults all of his people directly to their face, and he gets sick of it and has them fight to prove their worth. So yeah, that's how this episode ends. It doesn't do much to establish the plot, other than the fact that Rimuru is trying to establish ties with Eurasia. But for the most part, it's just to instigate this one fight. That's the entire build-up of this episode. It sets up that, hey, we're going to be as polite and as calm as possible. We're going to build up to this delegation. We're going to be nice, happy, and pleasant. And then Sufria shows up and just sets off a powder keg. That's what this episode was. That's all this episode was. It was just Rimuru setting up to build up to a peaceful confrontation with Eurasia and its residents, and then that just doesn't happen. I find that kind of funny, kind of hilarious. But in any case, in any case, Eurasia is going to try and enter an alliance with the City of Tempest, and we may or may not see that depending on how this fight goes. So yeah, for right now though, that's gonna be my review of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks, and I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and also next time I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!